hello, welcome to the channel. Today we are out here at Kilo Oscar Romeo Sierra in the Black Sqyare TBM 850, which we just rolled out of our hangar. This airport is in Microsoft Flight Simulator Standard, but this is the DLC version, so I figured it was a nice excuse to roll out the TBM, try this sweet study level aircraft out. I have not done a review on this, but if you know anything about this aircraft, you know it's quite the kit. And what we're doing out here in the early morning hours in the Pacific Northwest at Orcas is literally heading down to, well, at least at the time of this video, going to Anacortes Airport. That would be 74 Sierra. As a matter of fact, let me just throw up the sim brief right now and show you what I'm talking about with our flight plan and everything above. So you can see, obviously on the left, the details here, and basically our flight plan on the right. It's very simple. There's not very many procedures, right? This is a public airport. They're both public airports, but they're both DLCs, so high detail. A lot of fun to fly here. Also, I've never been to Anacortes because it just came out, and I would love to take this aircraft from here to there. And we're going to keep it below. Hopefully you can see on the left there, it's only 47 nautical miles, give or take, but the cruising altitude is 7,000 feet initial. No, I don't think we're going to make it there with the clouds, plus I don't want to detract from the scenery, so we're probably going to stay below the cloud layer there, regardless of what that is. We're not really going to worry too much about pressurization and things today. We're just going to use our lungs to breathe at our own capacities, because at max we're going to 7,000 feet. For 47 nautical miles, it's not necessary to climb overly high, because you're going to burn too much fuel, you're going to spend too much money on maintenance, and there's no need to burn up a PT6 engine like the one that this aircraft has. So we'll take it nice and easy on the aircraft and go for a fun flight today. Let's head on to the cabin here, piloting command position, and get this flight started. Thanks for joining me. Alright, so, yes, I know, I am aware the yoke has been removed just for ease of access, and this aircraft is quite amazing, as I think this will be autonomously displayed in this video with this aircraft. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the battery to life, and I just want to listen to some ATIS here to start this show. And I suppose, let's see what they have to say while we work on bringing the systems online here, huh?
Automated weather observation 1500 Zulu.
Inertial separator for the effect of not dealing with foreign object debris intake for our engine.
1,400 feet, scattered ceiling 4,200 feet, broken. Temperature 8 Celsius. Dew point 10 Celsius. Altimeter 2953.
Okay, 2953. We've got that. Let's go to ground. So I've turned on the nabs. Let's turn on the landing lights. Let's go to pulse. Here we go. Pulse is active. That way, anybody coming up from behind, even if there were any individuals who would be in the vicinity of the propeller, would know with the flashing lights something cool is about to happen. So we'll make sure that we keep working the systems. I'm checking my trims down here as well. Make sure we are within the takeoff range. We've already been set up for takeoff. We're already to rudder. Little bit right deflection for takeoff. We are in the green of our elevator trims, and our aileron trims are centered. This is great news for us. Let's come down here and turn on some of our primary instruments here. Clear our cautions. And let's recenter us up. I fly with a little bit wider field of view. That way you guys can see more scenery. So first things first, of course, we are in auto for that. We have our fuel tank selectors in auto, and we need to bring our auxiliary boost pumps on, verify we have PSI, altimeter in altitude reporting mode. We do not want to nuke people with the radar, so we're in standby on the ground. Bleed airs for the ECS are off. Cabin controls. We'll not be really worrying too much, like I said, about our cabin pressurization, is this cabin pressurizes minimally to 14,000 feet, and even as our initial max is 7,000, I don't even see us going there. So, like I said, we're not going to worry about it other than to provide air conditioning. So, let's make sure that we see our inertial separator is on, make sure our barometric pressure is set to 29.53 inches in Hg. Bleeds are off. Everything is good. And I'm going to go ahead and do a max motoring on this aircraft. That is essentially to keep the temperatures as cool as possible. It is a cool day out, so that's always good for engine longevity. As always, prop controls to full forward, and let's go ahead and start the motoring process. So what we want to do is pay attention to our NG down here, and flip that starter. No fuel will be introduced for the time being. Do not want a hot start, excuse me. And you can also see down below on the ETM, the NG percentage. We'll wait for max before introducing fuel. That brings the air from the outside in through the motor to cool the components down so that we can essentially ensure that we don't get a hot start to the best of our abilities. We are there, so let's go ahead and introduce low fuel idle. Looking for temp on ITT. Very cool start. Coming through 50% NG. That means remove the starter. And we are already having a decrease in our ITT. So we're going to go ahead and call that a successful start. This aircraft does simulate hot starts, so it is possible to damage this engine. Let's remove the landing lights, throw on the taxi lights. We'll also add our strobes. We'll add our generator. And as you can see, we are theoretically charging. Fantastic. Everything is set up above for the takeoff. We're just going to leave our inertial separator on down here below on the left. And we'll be reminded by our annunciators here that it's on. That way when we're in the taxiways kind of off the main here, we're not literally going to ingest anything that'll damage our engine. So my next step is to hop on down here. Let's throw on the bleed air from the turbine. Fan flow to auto. We'll throw on our air conditioning, and yes, we have our temperature set about right. Of course, our cabin altitude. Set that to base. Go ahead and throw this on now, basically, essentially, that we are not hopefully going to need anything on the rest of that side of the aircraft. So I am going to say for our initial altitude, they're going to say 7,000, but I'm going to say, well, let's just stop ourselves at, I don't know, 2,500 sound good to you guys out there? Sounds great to me. Let's go up at 1,500 foot per minute, just to give me a nice little reference, and I'll leave that preset. Let's go ahead and turn on the pitot heats. Yes, it's 46 degrees. Theoretically, it's not freezing, but what we're looking at outside, you know, who knows? Could there be rain in those clouds? Maybe, I don't know. But we're going to say, just to be safe, that it is a possibility. So we will throw the pitot heats on now. Alright, as I said, we are in low idle. That is to control our speed here of the engine while we're sitting parked. Let's go ahead and go up to full. And let's go ahead and remove our parking brake. And we'll just do a quick little roll. We'll test our left and our right brakes before we set out on our business trip here. Throw some instrument lights on here to get a little bit of viewsies. And I'm going to say we will be taking off straight out because we're going to go for the... We're going to go for straight out. We're not going to really have to worry about any, you know, sits or anything like that. So they want us to go out to 1.6, that's fine. We'll acknowledge them and we'll load our flight plan. So as you saw the sim brief there, it's in there, everything's set, fantastic. What I want to do is make sure that we do not stay in OBS mode. We are now in en route GPS. That is good because we are on the correct feed. So let's go ahead and feed in a little bit of throttle here. Bring that propeller speed up just a little bit. And left brake, right brake. Okay, we do have brakes. So let's go ahead and commence with a possible departure from runway 16. Of course, always being mindful of our surroundings. Do not want to hit whoever's vehicle that is. We are going down this hill, so just gonna make sure that we don't motivate too quickly down it, because literally we do not want to strike the propeller on the ground. This aircraft has quite a bit of power, so it's very, very easy to overpower yourself with this. A little bit of hiccup in the frame rates there, that's okay. Probably just Flight Simulator figuring out why it seems like we're bahaing over here. So 16, we'll have to cross over the active here and make sure that we don't have any in-route traffic, although if they're giving us a 16 departure, pretty much we could say if everybody flying this pattern, if there were any, had their wits about them, which you can never guarantee, they would be coming from this direction down here on their final. So primarily looking towards our left side to make sure there's no traffic, of course. And I'll go ahead and I'll do this straightaway stretch so that you guys don't have to be bored out too much. And I'll get back to you right when we're about to taxi onto the active. Alright, welcome back. As you can see, we are indeed instantaneously for you guys out there in viewership land at the runway threshold, 16. Inertial separator still is on. Need to run a couple tests just to make sure this bird is ready for the air. So that being said, now that we know nobody else is around, I'm going to go ahead and throw on our weather radar here. I'm going to remove the inertial separator so that we just get some primary airflow through this engine as opposed to the inert separator flap. And let's go ahead and throw on our flight director. And I need to check the reverse thrust here, make sure that we have functioning Yep, it goes over the gate into reverse thrust quite alright. Everything's good. Let's go ahead and ask for permission to get on out of here.
Victoria Tower A2Z1 2312 tree at runway 16 ready for departure, straight out departure.
At 2Z1 2312 tree wind 154 at 12. Straight out departure approved.
Alrighty
Cleared
then.
for takeoff runway 16.
Cleared for takeoff runway 16.
Everything's good. Let's go ahead and get on out there.
Tree.
And everything's clear. Ready to go. Have a nice zoomed out field of view for you all out there. Hopefully you can see a little bit of the yoke control inputs as well as the GPS and the views out the window, the most important thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and run our engine up here. And I'm going to check my propeller range there. Do not want to over torque this engine. Okay. Headed for the sky. Airspeed's alive. 60 knots. 75. 80 knots. How's about we rotate? Nice and easy. Positive rate. We'll bring the gear up. And I said we'd initially climb out at 1500. Nice thing about the TBM 850 is the ability to raise the flaps and then go into 850 horsepower mode. So now we can go above 100% on the torque gauge and and utilize this aircraft's true power. Coming through at about 115% torque. And we're climbing out at approximately 2,500 feet a minute. Still accelerating. So, cloud layers essentially is rolling up faster than I thought. That's okay. We're at about 2,000 foot, I'm saying. Put us right in the clouds. We do not want to fly 40 some odd miles at 2,000 feet. So, I'm going to try to get above these clouds as quickly as possible. And then we can power back just a bit. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that we know we are
Victoria Tower A2Z1 2312 tree frequency change.
Yeah, remove the lights. Let's go ahead and turn on our landing lights below 10,000 feet. And I'm just manually flying this. What I would like to do is trim the aircraft off before we throw in the autopilot. And just see what kind of altitude we can get out of our flight today. It did say 7,000, so if SimBrief is actually taking into account the weather conditions, that would be great. Into the spooky clouds we go. Still climbing at 2,000 feet, 170 knots indicated. And I'm essentially just manually flying our flight plan at this point. We have deviation a little bit to the right, but that's okay. As you can see on the 750. So I'm going to pull back power just a little bit. 1,000 to go to our planned flight by SimBrief, essentially to 7,000. Let's go a little bit lower, and I am noticing message indicator that we need to turn a little bit left, and we are also coming into a little bit of icing conditions here, so let's go ahead and throw our airframe on, drop the ice and windshields at the same time, and we're at 7,000. So let's go ahead and level on off, essentially. And we'll say at about 7,200 feet. And yaw damper autopilot, navigational mode, half bank, so as to not make too many uncomfortable high angle turns. And we're flying that path. As you can see, we're already correcting for FEGBA, our only waypoint on the route today. 47 nautical miles, but we are indicating 200 knots, so we're going quite fast. Let's go ahead, and as the aircraft is handling everything, we've pretty much leveled off here. Let's go ahead and look at our flight here. So you can see it's not far, which does not give us a lot of time to prepare. We are obviously well within range here of communications with the tower, so let's go ahead and communicate with them at 74S. See if we can find it. Of course, as we get closer, it could be a little bit easier. We'll go ahead and make sure we're as close as we can possibly get. What I would like to do is talk to them and find out what runway they would like for us to come in on, assuming, okay, uncontrolled airspace essentially, which basically means we're going to be making our rules in here. We took off at 16, so we're going to call for an 18, because wind direction and speed, we're going to announce our full, but we're going to tell them where we are.
74 Sierra traffic A2Z 1312312 tree 7 miles west, 7,200
7
feet
miles.
inbound to land runway 18.
So just like that, we're 7 miles away for the 16th. Basically, let's go ahead and already pull the autopilot off. Let's pull some power back, 7 miles away. And we'll bring the propeller speed back just a little bit. Let's remove the half bank. And we'll take off the yaw damper there. And let's go ahead and go down here and check our warnings. And the aircraft just letting us know it is not happy that we are at idle with that beep. And we do not have the landing gear out. So, that being said, acknowledged. We are coming in on a 16 approach, or rather 18. So what we're going to be doing here is making a left for a right downwind. And I'll go ahead and use this opportunity to zoom in here so that you can see as I fly with that zoomed out field of view. This way you can see we are going to make our left-hand turn for our right downwind, runway 18. Right there off of our nose is the airport. We do have quite a fast aircraft here for such a small field. So that being said, what we are going to do is extend our down leg of the approach. What's really nice is the blue line on the 750 GTN. Essentially lets you fly the parallel without having to be in autopilot. As you can see, it draws a straight white line on the screen there, indicating the direction of the two runways. So if we fly that parallel with our blue line, what we're pretty much doing is flying a direct parallel. Very nice. We'll use this time to bring our speed back even more. Quite the beautiful scenery out here. Although it says 47 nautical miles, if that was 47 nautical miles, it clicked over in just a tick, but that's what SimBrief said. So all I know is we're having fun. I'm having fun. Hope you guys all out there are enjoying this. And we're going to be seeing this new, at least like I said, the time of release, this new DLC for the first time. I will be seeing it for the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and prop up everything right away. Taxi lights, which are not on because our landing gear is clearly not down. So once we get past this island that we're over now, I'm going to go ahead and make an initial turn to our right. We'll hit the base and then we'll turn final. Once we're on final, we will announce again. Naturally, you would announce each step of the way, but for ease of access, I have live traffic turned off. This is real-time weather, so we're working with that at least. As you can see, it's a very short base leg, so I'm not going to announce the base. But we'll go ahead and call that our final.
Sierra traffic A2Z1 2312 tree is on final runway 18 to land.
And in the real world, I would also say how far out I was, since I'm so far out
Sierra
from the
traffic
final.
A2Z1
Let them know we're 6
2312 tree
miles.
6 miles north, 1,900 feet inbound to land runway
Okay, I can already see the runway threshold lights flashing. And we're also using our 750 to line back up. So I'm going to go ahead and pull down the gear lever in transient. And we've got 3 green indicated. So hopefully no more complaints from the flight computer here or whatever. That way we don't have to listen to the beep beep beep, or the solid beep, that is. And let's go ahead, and we're approaching the white arc, so I'm going to get ready to transition into our first stage of flaps here. But I don't want to pull that too fast because I don't want to fly the slow approach at slow speed just to extend the length of the video. I see no need for that. But everything is essentially going according to plan. If you look at the threshold of the runway on our end, to the right, you can see we're just a little bit low because there are red lights only. It's okay. We are aware, and we have a great view of the airport, so we're not flying ILS or RNAV approach or anything like that. We are good to go. I'm going to introduce a stage of flaps here, and that'll cut our speed down by quite a bit. And I'm going to go full bore here on the flaps. And constantly trimming. I want to make an approach with as little pressure as needed on the control surfaces from me on the yoke. I don't want to have to fight the aircraft on the way down. So always trying to stay lined up. Seems as though there is a little bit of a crosswind. Let's make sure we're centered on the screen. It's okay. And just like that, a low approach turns into a high approach. 4 whites. Always monitoring our speed, coming in at about 90. And there's some buffeting from the trees and lands. Woo. Quite a lot of that going on. And here we are. I'm going to chop throttle and pull back quite a bit, as that was quite a rough sensation. And let's use some reverse thrust. Plenty of runway left. And from what I hear, we have a runway exit ramp up here, what I see. I also believe we have a hangar waiting for us. So that's towards the back. We'll get there. We've already cleaned up our flaps. And let's vacate. Okay. So we'll get off of the active here by pulling clear of the double bar. And we'll turn off the landing lights. Got to be mindful of our wings here because we do not want to hit anything on the way. And I'm just going to go straight down the middle. And we have more than enough space here. So the one thing I will say about this aircraft is you can see the propeller goes into the yellow. There is a little bit of lag, at least with the Airbus throttle quadrant. When that propeller goes to the yellow, essentially you have almost no thrust forward, so it's kind of like just coming to a halt, especially if you're not moving fast and you're not carrying too much momentum. So that's the one thing I noticed. Doesn't really break the deal, but it is something to be aware of. This is our hangar to the right here. And let's go ahead and just park up there. Let's go ahead and we'll use that throttle quadrant there. Throw on the parking brake. Let's go ahead and clear everything out so that we can get this video up and wrapped. Pitot heats 1 and 2 off. All of those instruments off. Pop down here a little bit. We'll turn off our primary flight instruments. We'll go to standby on our altimeter reporting mode. We will turn the fans and the rates as low as we can and then off. That way we are not pulling anything from the engines. Remove the lights. said, already previously cleaned up the flaps, clear the master caution. Let's go ahead, look ahead, taxi light off, nav strobe, power down our gyros and our instruments. Let's go ahead and remove the ignition. And let's go ahead and chop our fuel control. Okay, that's going off. Let's make sure we turn off our radars so we don't do the nuking. And annunciator is good. ITT spooling down. Clearing the cautions. Propeller stopped. Nobody in the area. Off, off. Generator off. Breaker bar off. So here we are at the Anacortes airport, which is quite a nice approach if I do say so myself. I like the open hangars, the ability that kind of gives you to make this place possibly your home base for hanging out. The extensively done pathways here for taxiing around, giving yourself a little role-playing environment, right, for heading out. You've got the fuel station over here. It's very nice. Like I said, this is 74 Sierra Anacortes, and it is in the Pacific Northwest. This is AOK Games, and that in front of you is the Black Sqyare TBM 850. I hope you enjoyed this video. For now, I'm going to get on out of here. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.